Hello to all of you at the cinema. Today we will analyze the plot of the 2010 crime thriller Man from Nowhere. Several police officers are going to cover up the bandits when handing over a batch of drugs at the club. Unfortunately, their plan fails as the dancer Hae Jong, without thinking about the consequences, steals goods from a gang of gangsters. Cha Tae-sik owns a small pawn shop in a poor neighborhood. He also lives and works there. The guy buys flowers and goes home. He leads a quiet, humble life. His only connection to the outside world is a little girl Somi living next door. The girl used to steal T6 things, but she promised not to steal anymore. Somi is waiting for the sick on the stairs to pawn his player. She notices that the neighbor bought a sausage and declares that she also adores them. The guy has to invite the girl to lunch. Hae-jong, Somi's mom, doesn't trust a suspicious neighbor. She hears her daughter's voice and knocks on his apartment. However, the guy claims that the girl is not here. He deftly pushes the cup of juice into her hands with his foot and opens the door to the neighbor in confirmation of his words. Hae-jong pawns a camera with a bag in which she hid drugs. When the woman leaves, the owner sees that Somi has put flowers in a vase and pinned one flower behind her ear. Tae-sik snatches the flowers from her hands and irritably declares that she should not touch other people's things. Min Gu-oh is a gang leader who sells drugs and people. Beats his henchman Man Sok, who had a shipment of goods stolen from under his nose. The assistants promise to return the goods in the near future and severely punish the one who dared to steal it. The boss orders him to fix the situation in 3 days. The bandit Du Chi, with whom Hae-jong was going to share the profit from the sale of goods, comes to her house and demands to share with him. The woman just grins, then the scumbag beats her up and leaves, warning that the gangsters will tear her to shreds when he finds out that she stole the goods. A frightened Somi hears a conversation from the hallway and asks to spend the night at T6. When the guy wakes up in the morning, the neighbor is no longer in the apartment. After lunch, Tae-sik takes flowers, gets on the bus and turns on the player Somi. He comes to the cemetery to visit the grave of his late wife. Returning home, Tae-sik sees the cops who grabbed Somi as she stole the boy's backpack. The girl notices a neighbor and tells the cops that it's her father, but the guy turns around and leaves, leaving the patrolman confused. The two meet again at the grocery store. Somi grabs a chocolate bar and runs away. Tae-sik wants to pay for it, but the elderly seller refuses to take the money and advises the guy to walk with the girl more often, deciding that he is her father. Tae-sik meets a crying Somi in an alley. She asks to return the player, giving her lucky card in return, since she has no money. The girl is very upset that the neighbor left her and just left. However, she promises that she will not hate him, otherwise there will be no love left in the world at all. She never hears a kind word from her mother. Upon returning home, Seomi is horrified to see that her mother is being tortured by John Sok, Man Sok's younger brother. Du Chi turned in a thief as a gangster. The other two bandits break into T6 pawnshop. The guy, deciding that he is being robbed, calmly gives the thugs his wallet. But they just grin. The fat man attacks the owner and immediately regrets it. John Juice sends a tough fighter Ramravan to the apartment. The thug gives the sick a phone where he hears the screams of Hae-jong and Somi being taken hostage. John Sok tells him to give him a bag with a camera from which his henchmen take out the goods. John Sok decides that the fat thug was in cahoots with the police and Ramravan instantly kills him, with a shot to the head. The gangsters leave, leaving the phone to the sick. The next day, John Juice calls the guy and he agrees to do anything to save the mother and daughter. The brothers decide to use the guy as a courier and orders him to take the drugs to Guo. The sick gives the mafia the goods, who is sure that in front of him is an influential Chinese gangster. The guy now demands the release of the hostages, but Guo does not understand what is at stake. It's the Sok brothers who are playing their dirty game and several dozen police officers are already on their way here. The mobster orders his thugs to beat up T-sik, deciding that he is working for the traitor Man Sok. The cops grab most of the bandits. Guo tries to escape by car. Tae-sik jumps out of the window onto a wide grid and chases after the gangster. From the impact, the trunk of his car opens and the guy is horrified to see the sewn-up body of Hae-jong, from which the thugs of the brothers pulled out all the internal organs for sale. Tae-sik falls into a stupor at the thought that Somi is also dead. The police grab the guy, thinking he's the killer. At the station, investigators interrogate the suspect, but he does not say a word. The cops open the door to the 6 pawnshop and immediately stumble upon the body of a fat gangster who was shot dead. The bandits give the juice to an elderly woman, who locks the girl in a room with other children to use them as drug couriers. Tae-sik knocks out 6 policemen in a few minutes and escapes from the police station. Watching the video of the escape, the police open their mouths at the incredible fighting skills of the guy. They decide to investigate Tae-sik's past and find out that he was an officer of the Korean Military Special Forces with extensive combat experience. But he left the service after the killer who tried to kill him killed his wife instead. The attacker shot the guy twice, but was killed by special agents. And Tae-sik managed to survive. In the present, Tae-sik recovers the phone that the bandits gave him and the pawnshop comes to find out the name of the buyer of the device. However, aggressive guys are unwilling to share information, and Tae-sik has to explain to them the importance of his question. The seller admits that a gangster selling human organs bought the phone and gives the guy a business card with the address of the Eden nightclub and the name Du Chi. Tae-sik gets into the club, finds Du Chi Yi and stabs him in the collarbone with a knife, since his friend does not want to give away So-mi's location. Ramravan suddenly appears and starts shooting. Tae-sik manages to jump back, one of the bullets kills his daughter. The bandit shoots all the booths, opens the doors when he is attacked by Tae-sik. Two people fight on equal terms. Ramravan also turns out to be a trained fighter, but Tae-sik forces him to run out into a hall full of people, where the two are going to continue the fight. Man-sok approaches Ramravan and stops him as the cops entered the club and tracked the phone that Tae-sik had. Man-sok leaves another cell phone to the guy and the thug escapes. They jump into a car driven by John-sok and take off. Tae-sik tries to chase them but quickly stops as Ramravan shot him in the stomach. The guy jumps into the first car he sees and gets away from the cops chasing him. Man-sok calls Tae-sik and declares that he will sell So-mi's eyes. The guy in response threatens to destroy their entire gang. Weakened from the wound, the guy comes to his friend and former subordinate who pulls out the bullet and treats the sick's wound. A guy in a delirium remembers how a killer killed his pregnant wife, so there is a small shoe on his wife's grave. Tae-sik asks a friend to find a gun for him and shaves off his hair, intending to pay a visit to the bandits. At this moment, Detective Kim Chi-gong, who arrested Hae-jong's former pimp, calls the phone that Mong-sok gave him. The detective promises to catch Tae-sik and shares that So-mi is still alive. Surveillance cameras captured her near the ATM. In response, Tae-sik tells how he was framed by the Sok brothers by putting the corpse of a woman in the trunk and hangs up. A friend thinks that So-mi is most likely using it as an ant. These are the children through whom Chinese gangs transfer drugs and dirty money. After a while, the baby will probably be killed, and her organs will be extracted and sold for illegal transplantation. At this time, So-mi, along with the children, is locked in a room under the supervision of Ramravan. The girl notices a scratch on the man's forehead and, deciding that it hurts him, sticks plasters on. Tae-sik notices one of the ants on the street who is cashing out his cards and is about to leave. The guy decides to follow the child, hoping that he will take him to the place where he is being held. However, Tae-sik is noticed by the cops and chases after him. The guy jumps out of the window, gets into the nearest car and steps on the gas. He finds the ant again and follows him to an abandoned building where bandits have set up an underground drug lab. Inside, Tae-sik notices John-sok and sees that the scumbags are brutally exploiting children. In the next room, the guy finds in the freezers a lot of bodies whose organs have been cut out. Tae-sik gets furious and shoots the scumbags one by one. When only John-sok is left, he brutally beats up the bastard and calls Man-sok demanding that he bring So-mi here immediately. After hanging up the phone, Tae-sik opens a gas cylinder and takes the children outside. And the building explodes with John juice inside. At this time, an underground surgeon is going to cut out the organs with his own. And Ramravan controls that everything goes smoothly. The surgeon explains to the girl that her mother died because he removed her organs and now he will do the same to her. However, I hope that mom is still alive, and plaintively repeats this several times. The surgeon gives So-mi anesthesia and is going to cut out her eyes. Soon, Tae-sik enters the building, where a couple dozen bandits, led by Mong-sok, are already waiting for him. The leader shows the guy a transparent flask with So-mi's eyes, explaining that he ordered her killed to avenge the attack on his younger brother. Tae-sik saw the flask. He gets furious and quickly shoots most of the scumbags. When the guy runs out of bullets, he pulls out a knife and kills the remaining gangsters in cold blood. Man-sok escapes and Ramravan finally finds a worthy opponent, pulls out a dagger and rushes at Tae-sik. Two people fight on equal terms. However, Tae-sik manages to overpower the opponent and stab the blade right into his heart. The guy runs to the underground parking lot and shoots through the tire of the car in which Man-juice is trying to escape. The scoundrel crashes into another car. Tae-sik approaches him and shoots him right in the head. He's going to take his own life, which doesn't make any sense anymore. Suddenly, Tae-sik hears So-mi's voice. Turning around, he is relieved to see that she is alive. The guy can't hold back the tears when the girl runs up to hug him. It turns out that Ramravan saved So-mi because she was kind to him. The flask contained the surgeon's eyes that Ram Rowan had cut out of him. When the cops show up, they let Tae-sik and So-mi get in the same car. While the girl is sleeping, The guy asks if they can stop at a small shop near their house. He buys a backpack and various school supplies for Somi and apologizes for not coming over when the police grabbed her. Tae-sik says that now Seo-mi can only rely on himself since he is under arrest. The guy asks to hug him goodbye and cries, realizing that now he will not see the girl soon. How do you like the movie Man from Nowhere, inspired by which John Wick was created? Share it in the comments. Thanks for watching and see you soon.